Ancient monuments across the globe share a secret connection. The pyramids of Egypt, the stone circles of Britain, and the temples of Peru may be part of a vast, planet-spanning energy grid. This is the core of the global energy grid theory, a radical idea proposing that our ancestors possessed a sophisticated understanding of Earth's hidden forces. By the end of this exploration, you will see the map of human history redrawn before your eyes. We will uncover why these structures were built precisely where they are and question what kind of knowledge was lost to time. What does our world look like when you see it not as separate countries, but as a single, interconnected circuit of power? This grand idea of a planetary circuit did not emerge from a vacuum. Its roots reach back to a time when scientists and mystics alike first began to suspect the Earth itself was alive. In the early 20th century, a vision took hold that the planet was more than just rock and water. Pioneers like Nikola Tesla spoke of the Earth as a conductor of immense electrical energy, while others observed that certain locations seemed to possess a unique and palpable vitality. This led to the foundational concept of ley lines, a term first popularized by amateur archaeologist Alfred Watkins in the 1920s. Watkins proposed that ancient peoples created straight trackways connecting prominent landmarks, from burial mounds to hilltop forts, across the British countryside. He saw these lines as practical trade and travel routes, but later researchers took this idea and infused it with a new dimension of power. They began to wonder, what if these straight paths were not just roads but also wires? What if the mounds and stone circles were not just markers but also batteries or switches? This evolution of thought transformed Watkins' simple map of ancient roads into a blueprint for a global energy network. The concept of ley lines expanded from local pathways to a worldwide web of force, setting the stage for the grander, more technologically ambitious vision of the global energy grid. But to see this grid in action, we must look at the specific and often startling connections between monuments that defy conventional explanation. That sudden flash of insight in the English countryside gave us the very vocabulary for this mystery. Alfred Watkins saw what others had overlooked, a pattern etched into the land itself. He was not a mystic but a practical man, a businessman and photographer who trusted his eyes. Staring at his map, he realized that ancient sites did not scatter randomly. Burial mounds, old stone crosses, and the peaks of certain hills all fell into perfect straight lines, stretching for miles across the landscape. He called these alignments ley lines, imagining them as the old straight tracks, the trading paths and pilgrimage routes of a forgotten Britain. His book, The Old Straight Track, was a sensation among the public, a call to see the familiar world with new eyes. Yet the professional archaeologists of his day largely scoffed. They saw coincidence, not a grand design. For decades, his theory remained a charming, if eccentric, footnote. But a seed had been planted. The map was now drawn. The next generation of thinkers would look at Watkins' network of lines and ask a more profound question. What if these tracks were not just for walking? What if they were channels for something else, something invisible? The practical old straight tracks were about to be reborn as conduits of a mysterious energy, transforming a local map of footpaths into the first draft of a planetary power grid. This leap from geography to geomancy would require looking far beyond the green hills of England. The quiet footpaths of England were merely the beginning of a trail that spans the entire globe. A handful of researchers in the mid-20th century looked at Alfred Watkins' local ley lines and saw the first threads of a much grander tapestry. They began connecting dots that no one had thought to connect before, drawing lines between the pyramids of Giza and the massive stone heads of Easter Island, between the ancient temples of Angkor Wat and the sacred mounds of the Americas. The key figures in this intellectual revolution were pioneers like Ivan T. Sanderson, who meticulously mapped these connections. What they found was not just random alignments, but precise geometric patterns, immense circles and triangles that wrapped around the planet itself. The odds of the Great Pyramid, the Moai statues, and the Nazca lines all falling onto one of these great circles purely by chance are so infinitesimally small that the idea becomes almost impossible to accept. This was no longer about old trading routes. This was evidence of a coordinated plan, a blueprint executed on a planetary scale. It implies the builders possessed a sophisticated understanding of spherical geometry, a knowledge of the Earth's true shape and dimensions that history books claim was impossible for them to have. Who were these master architects? The expansion of the ley line theory into a global energy network forces us to confront a staggering possibility that a forgotten civilization with advanced scientific knowledge once walked the Earth, leaving behind a silent, stone-powered machine whose purpose we are only just beginning to guess. To understand how this machine might have worked, we must look closer at the specific energy these builders were supposedly trying to harness. This geometric precision takes the theory from a collection of strange coincidences to a potential architectural blueprint for the entire planet. The sprawling web of ley lines is organized into a series of master patterns, repeating shapes that form the very skeleton of the grid. The most compelling of these are the Platonic solids, perfect three-dimensional forms like the icosahedron and the dodecahedron. These are not simple squares or triangles. An icosahedron has 20 identical triangular faces, while a dodecahedron has 12 pentagonal faces. Now imagine one of these complex shapes placed inside a globe, its points just touching the inner surface. This is the proposed model, a crystalline energy matrix encasing the Earth itself. When you project this invisible geometry onto our planet, something remarkable happens. The points where the shape's vertices touch the Earth's surface and the lines where their edges would run correspond with breathtaking accuracy to the world's most powerful and enigmatic ancient sites. One vertex of this planetary icosahedron lands directly on the Great Pyramid of Giza. Another touches the mountaintop citadel of Machu Picchu. A third might align with the stone circles of Stonehenge, and another with the mysterious Moai of Easter Island. The odds of this happening by random chance are astronomically low. This is not a pattern one finds by wandering the landscape. It is a pattern one imposes from a profound understanding of the Earth as a whole. It suggests the builders possessed a knowledge of spherical geometry and planetary scale mathematics that we simply do not attribute to them. They were not just building structures, they were plugging them into a pre-existing energetic circuit, using the Earth itself as a foundation. The question then becomes not just how they built these monuments, but how they knew exactly where on the globe to place them. What kind of science could have revealed this planetary crystal structure to them? That planetary crystal structure finds one of its most powerful and undeniable points at the Great Pyramid of Giza. More than just a tomb, this monument is considered by many to be the central power station of the entire global grid. Its location is the first clue, a piece of data that defies simple explanation. The pyramid is not just in Egypt, it is positioned with an almost impossible precision at the exact center of the Earth's landmass. Think about that for a moment. The builders somehow knew the layout of all the continents, placing their masterpiece at the planetary bullseye. Its sides are aligned to the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with an error of less than a single degree. a feat of engineering that would challenge modern builders even with our advanced tools and satellites. This is not the work of a primitive culture. It is the signature of a civilization with a profound understanding of our world as a geometric whole. But the true mystery lies not just in where it was built, but how it was built and with what materials. Deep inside the pyramid lies the king's chamber, a room constructed from massive blocks of granite. Granite is a fascinating stone because it contains quartz crystals. When quartz is subjected to pressure or vibration, it generates a small electrical charge. This is known as the piezoelectric effect. Now, imagine the entire pyramid, a colossal structure sitting on top of the Earth's crust, constantly vibrating with subtle seismic energy. The theory suggests the pyramid was designed to harness these vibrations. The granite blocks in the king's chamber would act as a natural transducer, converting the mechanical pulse of the planet into a usable electrical field, effectively turning the pyramid into a power plant. Its connections reinforce this role. The Great Pyramid sits on a major ley line that stretches to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and onward to the ancient Sumerian city of Ur. This is not an isolated monument, it is a central hub in a vast network. Yet, to see how this network functioned, we must journey to another continent, to a site that presents a completely different expression of this ancient power. Far from the dry sands of Egypt, the damp, green fields of Salisbury Plain hold their own ancient secret. Stonehenge stands as a silent sentinel, its massive stones arranged in a circle that has baffled generations. But this monument is more than a calendar. It is a powerful node in the global energy grid, operating on a principle entirely different from the pyramid at Giza. Its power source was not the vibration of the Earth's crust, but the water flowing deep beneath it. Salisbury Plain sits atop a vast network of underground water aquifers. As this water moves through the subterranean rock, it creates a subtle electrical charge known as a telluric current. These natural earth currents are the lifeblood of this location. The builders of Stonehenge did not just choose a random hilltop. They selected a place where the planet's energy was already surging. The famous blue stones, transported over an incredible distance from the Preseli Hills in Wales, are the key component. These stones are not just any rock. They are composed of materials rich in quartz and other crystalline structures, making them natural conductors and amplifiers of this underground energy. Why would ancient people go to such monumental effort to bring these specific stones to this specific spot, unless they possessed a profound understanding of the land's hidden properties? The circle itself, with its precise arrangement of towering sarsens and inner bluestones, may have acted as a resonant chamber. It could have focused and amplified the telluric currents rising from the ground, creating a powerful, localized energy field within its center. Imagine standing in the middle of that circle, not in silence but surrounded by an invisible hum of concentrated earth power. What would that energy have been used for? Some theories suggest it was a place of healing where the amplified energy could affect the human body. Others propose it altered states of consciousness, allowing for spiritual journeys or communication. Its alignment with the sun and moon suggests it could also harvest celestial energies, working in tandem with the terrestrial forces. The presence of other massive structures like the Great Stone Circles at Avebury, just a short distance away, reinforces this idea. This entire region was not just a collection of separate sites. It was a developed energy complex, a sacred power grid deliberately built to interact with the land's inherent force. The grid was not a one-size-fits-all system. It was a network of specialized stations, each designed to harness a different aspect of the planet's power. Across the calm waters of the Mediterranean, the islands of Malta present a mystery carved from solid stone. These tiny islands are home to the Haga Kim and Mnajdra temples, structures so ancient they predate the pyramids of Egypt by over 1,000 years. But the true heart of Malta's enigma lies underground, in the labyrinthine world of the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. This is not a temple built upon the earth, but one excavated from within it, a three-level subterranean complex descending deep into the limestone. Within its silent, echoing chambers, researchers have discovered an acoustic phenomenon that defies simple explanation. Certain rooms are precisely carved to resonate at a specific sound frequency, 111 Hz. This is not a random musical note. Scientific studies have shown that this particular frequency can directly influence human brainwave patterns, potentially shifting consciousness into a more receptive, meditative, or even altered state. Was this ancient site designed as a technological device for the mind? Grid theorists see the Hypogeum as a sophisticated resonator, a piece of bioacoustic engineering that used sound to tune human consciousness to the land's own energy. This aligns perfectly with Malta's proposed role in the global grid. Ley lines are mapped running directly through the archipelago, connecting it through Sicily to the sacred sites of Italy and stretching across the sea to the ancient power centers of North Africa. Malta was not an isolated outpost. It was a crucial junction box, a stepping stone in a trans-Mediterranean energy circuit. The sheer density of temples on such a small landmass is itself a powerful clue. With dozens of major sites concentrated within a few square miles, it seems the entire island was engineered to function as a single, massively powerful unit. Think of it not as a collection of individual batteries, but as a clustered energy cell, a spiritual power station designed to gather, amplify, and modulate the unique energetic signature of the central Mediterranean. The Hypogeum, with its mind-altering resonance, may have been the control room for this entire system, a place where priests or shamans could literally tune themselves to the frequency of the earth. This demonstrates the global energy grid theory operating on a smaller, more intense scale, proving that our ancestors understood how to work with localized power in a way we are only beginning to comprehend. The silent, resonant chambers of Malta give way to another kind of power, one that spoke through the voice of a woman. In ancient Greece, the oracle at Delphi was known as the center of the world, the Omphalos. For centuries, pilgrims and kings traveled there seeking guidance from the Pythia, the priestess who would deliver her prophecies from a tripod stool over a deep fissure in the rock. Classical writings describe her inhaling vapors that rose from this chasm, sending her into a divine frenzy. For a long time, historians dismissed this as myth, the superstitious ramblings of a primitive cult. Then modern geology stepped in. Researchers discovered that Delphi sits directly atop two intersecting fault lines. These cracks in the Earth's crust allowed a gentle seep of ethylene gas, a substance known to induce trances, euphoria, and altered states of consciousness. The ancient accounts were not fanciful stories. They were reporting a tangible, geological fact. The energy grid theory takes this stunning confirmation a step further. Delphi was not just a temple built over a lucky gas leak. It was constructed at a powerful confluence of ley lines, a natural vortex where the Earth's telluric currents crossed and amplified one another. Imagine this site as a kind of spiritual radio tower. The intersecting energy lines created a heightened, potent field. The ethylene gas acted as the key that unlocked the Pythia's conscious mind, allowing her to tune into this amplified signal. Her prophecies were not mere guesses. They may have been interpretations of information carried along the grid itself. This reframes the entire oracle from a place of blind faith to a sophisticated technological and spiritual installation. It was a built environment designed to facilitate a specific outcome, access to a stream of knowledge flowing through the very bones of the planet. The priests who interpreted her often cryptic utterances were not just religious figures, they were the technicians of a system they only partially understood, decoding messages from a planetary network whose true architects had been lost to time. If one woman at a single node could access such profound insight, what was the full potential of this global system when it was fully active? The prophetic frenzy of the oracle at Delphi reveals a system designed to tap into the Earth's own pulse, yet other nodes in the grid look not down into the chasms but up toward the stars. In the dense jungles of Cambodia, the sprawling stone complex of Angkor Wat presents a mystery written in both stone and sky. Its alignment is not merely with the sun or moon, but with a specific pattern of stars from an age impossibly remote. The temples and towers of Angkor are laid out in a precise mirror image of the constellation Draco, as it would have appeared in the night sky during the spring equinox in 10,500 BC. This date, long before any conventional timeline places the rise of this civilization, is a staggering piece of data. It suggests the entire complex was built according to a celestial blueprint drafted millennia before its construction. Grid theorists see this as the ultimate expression of an ancient principle, as above, so below. The builders were not just mapping Earth's energy lines, they were synchronizing them with cosmic cycles. The terrestrial grid was a conscious reflection of the celestial one. Each temple was placed to correspond with a specific star in the Dragon constellation, anchoring the power of that star to a specific point on Earth. This was more than astronomy, it was a form of spiritual technology, an attempt to create a harmonic resonance between the planet and the heavens. The complex itself sits on a proposed major ley line, a powerful current in the global grid that connects it across vast distances to other power points like the pyramids of Giza. This dual role as both a terrestrial energy node and a celestial anchor implies a goal of staggering ambition. The ancients may have been trying to tune the entire planet, using these stone temples as tuning forks to vibrate in harmony with the universe itself. What kind of civilization possesses the knowledge to plan for an age 13,000 years in their future? The silent, star-aligned stones of Angkor Wat ask us this question every single day. The silent, star-aligned temples of Angkor present a mystery of celestial timing, but in the high deserts of Peru, a different kind of message is written on the land itself. The Nazca lines are a collection of colossal geoglyphs sprawling across a vast, arid plateau. These are not towering stone circles or deep subterranean chambers. They are immense drawings, best seen from the sky, depicting spiders, monkeys, and hummingbirds alongside perfect geometric shapes stretching for miles. Conventional archaeology has long suggested they served a ritual or astronomical purpose, but from the perspective of the global energy grid, their function was far more active. What if these lines were not meant to be seen by gods in the sky, but were instead designed to interact with the energy flowing through the ground? The entire Nazca Plain is a unique geological formation. The desert crust here is rich in minerals, particularly iron oxide and quartz. When you scrape away the darker surface layer to reveal the lighter subsoil, you are not just creating a visual contrast. You are creating an electrical one. The mineral-rich ground is a natural conductor for telluric currents, the same subtle electrical flows that powered Stonehenge. By etching these massive lines into the earth, the Nazca people may have been laying down wires on a planetary circuit board. The theory suggests the giant animal figures were not just pictures. They could have functioned as capacitors, storing this telluric energy, or as emitters, releasing it in a specific, patterned way. Their location is the final, crucial piece of the puzzle. The Nazca Plateau is one of the driest places on Earth, a high desert that acts as a natural capacitor for atmospheric electricity. The air itself is charged, and the mineral-rich ground below is ready to receive that charge. Together, this creates the perfect conditions for an enormous open-air energy facility. The entire plain becomes a single, integrated component in the South American grid, a massive antenna or power cell humming with an invisible force. Why would an ancient culture invest centuries of labor to create something that could only be fully perceived from the air, unless their intention was not for human eyes at all, but for the Earth's own energy system to read? The lines were not a plea to the heavens, but a connection to them, a way of plugging the continent itself into the global circuit. The sprawling desert lines of Nazca speak of a system designed to conduct energy, but on a remote island in the vast Pacific, the system seems to have been built for an entirely different purpose. Easter Island stands as one of the most isolated inhabited places on Earth, a tiny speck of land thousands of miles from any continent. Its very remoteness makes its proposed role in the global grid so compelling. According to the geometric maps, this island sits directly on a powerful vertex of the planetary icosahedron, a critical junction point in the planet's energetic skeleton. The iconic Moai, the massive stone giants with their solemn, elongated faces, are the key to understanding this site. They are not scattered randomly. These colossal statues were precisely positioned with their backs to the ocean, gazing inland along specific alignments that researchers have identified as ley lines. Their placement forms a deliberate network across the island, a web of stone that channeled and focused the telluric currents flowing through this nodal point. Think of the Moai not as passive monuments but as active components. Their sheer mass, carved from compressed volcanic rock, may have acted as grounding rods or energetic stabilizers, anchoring the powerful and potentially volatile forces that converged at this remote vertex. The immense effort required to create and move these statues, some weighing over 80 tons across miles of rugged terrain, is a testament to the site's supreme importance. Why would a society dedicate centuries of labor to such a monumental task on this tiny, isolated island, unless they were custodians of a location they knew was critical to a system far greater than themselves? The silent, inland gaze of the Moai suggests they were watching over something vital, not just an island, but a crucial pressure valve or power regulator for the entire planetary grid. The profound isolation of Easter Island gives way to a landscape of raw, exposed power in the American Southwest. Here, the energy of the grid feels almost tangible. Sedona, Arizona, is world-famous for its vortex sites, specific locations where visitors consistently report strange physical sensations, a palpable hum in the air, or a sudden, profound sense of peace. These are not subtle feelings. People describe a distinct swirling energy that seems to emanate from the red rock formations themselves. Grid theorists interpret these vortices as powerful, naturally occurring spirals within the planetary energy system, places where the telluric currents of the Earth twist into a concentrated, dynamic focus. It is as if the planet's circulatory system has major arteries, and Sedona is its beating heart. This is not just New Age speculation. The region's unique geology, with its massive deposits of quartz and magnetic iron, creates a perfect environment for such phenomena, naturally amplifying the Earth's inherent electromagnetic field. Yet the human story of this energy goes much deeper. A few hours' drive from Sedona lies the silent, sprawling complex of Chaco Canyon. 1,000 years ago, this was the center of the ancestral Puebloan world. The scale and precision of Chaco are breathtaking. Its great houses, like the monumental Pueblo Bonito, were not haphazard collections of rooms. They were constructed with a masterful understanding of geometry and celestial mechanics. The walls align perfectly with the cardinal directions, and specific windows and doorways capture the light of the solstice sun or the extreme positions of the moon with unerring accuracy. This was a civilization that built its calendar into the very stones of its buildings, but the true signature of Chaco's role in the grid is found not just in its architecture, but in the landscape beyond. Radiating from the canyon is a network of perfectly straight roads, some over 30 feet wide, that cut across the rugged desert for dozens of miles. They run in dead straight lines up and down cliffs and mesas, defying the logic of simple footpaths. These are not meandering trails, they are engineered causeways, strikingly reminiscent of the ley lines first mapped in England. Grid theorists see this road system as a clear and deliberate energy network. These were not just for trade or travel, they were conduits designed to channel the powerful telluric currents of the region and link Chaco Canyon to other sacred sites across the southwest. The canyon itself sits at the center of this web, a massive collector and distributor of power. When you stand at Pueblo Bonito and look out at those straight roads vanishing into the horizon, you are not looking at a simple settlement. You are looking at the control center of a vast, ancient power grid, a North American hub consciously built to interact with the same planetary forces that shape the pyramids and the stone circles. The sacred geography of the Southwest, from Sedona's natural vortices to Chaco's engineered landscape, forms a single, integrated system of immense power, a testament to a forgotten science of the Earth. While the American Southwest reveals a landscape of raw power, the ancient Chinese developed a science so refined it could map the very breadth of the Earth. For thousands of years, masters of Feng Shui practiced the art of aligning human life with the unseen currents of the natural world. They did not call them ley lines, they named them dragon lines or lung mei, the pathways through which the universal life force Kai was believed to flow. Just as water flows through riverbeds, they saw Kai coursing through the veins of the planet. The most powerful of these lines were said to run along the spines of great mountain ranges, and the most sacred and politically crucial sites were always placed at the precise points where these dragon veins converged. The Forbidden City in Beijing is a masterclass in this principle. Its location, its orientation, and the very layout of its halls and courtyards were meticulously planned to sit at the apex of these converging energies, harnessing their power to ensure the health, longevity, and stability of the entire empire. This was not superstition, it was a sophisticated geomancy, a technology of placement. The existence of Feng Shui, developed entirely independently from Western ley line theories, is perhaps one of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the global energy grid. It suggests that this was not a singular discovery by one lost civilization, but a universal human intuition. Different cultures, separated by vast oceans and millennia, all somehow perceived the same underlying energetic matrix of the planet. They gave it different names: Kai, telluric current, the Earth's pulse, but they were all describing the same fundamental force. This independent corroboration moves the theory from a fascinating coincidence toward a potential universal truth. Our ancestors, from the British Isles to the Yellow River, were all tuning into the same silent hum of the world, and they left us a map written in stone, landscape, and tradition to prove it. This ancient Chinese science of placement finds a powerful echo in the world's oldest continuous culture. Across the vast expanse of Australia, Aboriginal peoples have maintained the songlines for over 60,000 years. These are not merely footpaths or trading routes. They are the living scripture of the land, intricate maps of existence encoded in rhythm and melody. Each songline traces the epic journey of an ancestral creator spirit, weaving across the continent. The path of the rainbow serpent, for instance, might cross hundreds of miles, its route defined by a specific sequence of verses. To walk the songline is to sing the country into being. The lyrics do not just describe the landscape, they are believed to actively maintain its reality, from the shape of a mountain to the presence of a waterhole. This is a grid made of sound, the very act of singing, of emitting that specific vibrational frequency while physically tracing the path, is seen as a sacred act of co-creation with the earth. It is a constant, conscious tuning of the land. From the perspective of the global energy grid theory, the songlines represent the ultimate fusion of the physical and the energetic. They are an acoustic network, a system where human consciousness, through ritualized sound, directly interacts with the telluric currents of the planet. The songs are the operating code, and the singers are the technicians keeping the system running. This transforms the entire concept of the grid from a cold, stone machine into something alive, sentient, and responsive. It suggests the ancients did not just build structures to tap into a passive energy source. They engaged in a constant, reciprocal relationship with a living world, using vibration and intent to nourish the land that nourished them. The songlines offer a breathtakingly profound dimension to the mystery. They ask us to consider that the true power of the grid was not just in its stones, but in its songs. The silent, resonant network of the songlines gives way to a city of stone whose very name means the place where the gods were created. Teotihuacan, sprawling in the highlands of central Mexico, represents a mystery on an urban scale. Its grandeur is defined by the colossal pyramid of the sun, the slightly smaller pyramid of the moon, and the vast, perfectly straight causeway known as the Avenue of the Dead connecting them. This layout is a masterpiece of geometry, but its true purpose may be hidden beneath the surface. Deep within the Pyramid of the Sun, explorers discovered two massive sheets of mica, a mineral with exceptional electrical insulating properties, sandwiched between the upper levels of the structure. Why would an ancient culture go to the immense trouble of quarrying and transporting these fragile, non-structural sheets, only to bury them deep inside a pyramid where no one could ever see them? The answer may lie in modern technology. Mica is used today as an insulator in electrical capacitors and other high-tech components. Its presence suggests the pyramid was not just a mound of stone, but a sophisticated piece of engineering designed to manage a flow of energy. This idea is reinforced by a discovery beneath the Pyramid of the Feathered Serpent, where archaeologists found substantial quantities of liquid mercury in a sealed tunnel. Mercury is a liquid metal, a conductor, and was known in later traditions to represent streams of water or even rivers of spiritual energy. The combination is telling: an insulator like mica in one pyramid and a conductor like mercury in another. This is not random. It is the signature of a technology, a deliberate use of materials with specific electrical properties. The entire city, with its precise cardinal alignments, seems designed to function as a single, integrated circuit. Teotihuacan's placement is no accident either. It sits at the center of a web connecting it to other major Mesoamerican power centers like the great city of Monte Alban and the Mayan centers of the Yucatan. This was not just a city, it was a central power station for an entire continent, a hub designed to gather, modulate, and distribute a force that we are only beginning to recognize. What kind of power required reservoirs of mercury and layers of mica to control it? The silent, geometric perfection of Teotihuacan holds that secret, a blueprint for an energy we have forgotten how to see. That same principle of sacred placement echoes through the grand cathedrals of medieval Europe. A curious pattern repeats itself from Britain to France, where soaring Gothic structures dedicated to Christian saints rise from foundations that were sacred for millennia. Chartres Cathedral, a masterpiece of light and stone, was not built on a random plot of land. Its foundations envelop an ancient druidic grove and cap a natural spring, a site long revered for its vital energy. This was not a coincidence, nor was it purely an act of religious conquest. Proponents of the grid theory see a far more sophisticated strategy at work. The master masons who designed these buildings were likely inheritors of a deep, esoteric understanding of the land. They recognized that the pagan sites they were ordered to build upon were already powerful nodes in the planetary energy network. Rather than erasing this power, they sought to harness it. The cathedral itself becomes a technological instrument, a colossal antenna designed to amplify and focus the Earth's telluric currents for a new spiritual purpose. At Chartres, the famous labyrinth inlaid in the floor is not just a meditation path. Its precise 11-circuit pattern may have functioned as a kind of spiritual coil, concentrating the energy rising from the spring and the druidic ground below. The entire architecture, from the placement of the pillars to the proportions of the vaulted ceilings, was governed by sacred geometry, a universal code of harmonic ratios. These ratios were not merely aesthetic, they were functional, tuning the building to resonate with the specific frequency of the location. The cathedral became a resonant chamber, humming with an amplified version of the same force the Druids once venerated. Why else would such immense effort be expended to build in these exact spots, unless the builders knew the land itself was the source of the power? This continuity of location across wildly different faiths suggests a hidden thread of knowledge, a secret science of the earth that was preserved and adapted, not lost. What did these master builders know about the energetic properties of stone, water, and geometry that we have since forgotten? That same hidden current of power flows not just through stone, but through the very water beneath our feet. A recurring and powerful clue connects sites as diverse as Stonehenge, the Oracle at Delphi, and the Chartres Cathedral, the presence of moving water. Deep beneath these monuments lie vast aquifers, rushing underground rivers and natural springs. This is no coincidence. Modern science has shown that when water flows over certain types of bedrock, particularly those rich in quartz or other crystalline minerals, it generates a subtle electrical charge. This is known as the piezoelectric effect. Picture a subterranean stream constantly in motion, flowing over a bed of quartz crystal. With every passing gallon, it creates a tiny, continuous electrical field, a natural battery humming deep within the earth. The ancient builders, it seems, were masters of this hidden hydrology. They did not just build near water for practical survival. They intentionally positioned their most sacred structures directly over these specific, energetic water flows. The water acted as a natural conductor, amplifying the site's inherent telluric currents and turning the entire structure into a far more potent node. The Great Pyramid, for instance, is theorized to sit above a massive underground water table, its chambers potentially designed to harness the resulting electromagnetic field. The springs beneath Chartres and the sacred stream near Delphi were not just symbolic, they were functional, integral components of the energy system. This transforms our understanding of these places. They were not just temples built on spiritually significant land, they were sophisticated power plants, engineered to tap into the planet's own hydroelectric grid. The builders saw a rushing underground river not just as a source of life, but as a source of power, a ready-made conductor woven into the fabric of the earth itself. If they possessed such a profound understanding of subterranean energy, what other natural forces did they learn to harness? The silent thrum of underground water points toward a tangible force, but what is the actual physics that could turn a stone circle into a power source? To move from poetic metaphor to plausible mechanism, we must examine the fundamental energies that our ancestors might have learned to harness. The first is a resonance that surrounds us all, a frequency most of us never perceive. In the cavity between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, a layer of our upper atmosphere, a constant, low-frequency electromagnetic hum naturally exists. These are the Schumann resonances, a set of peaks in the extremely low-frequency band that scientists often call the planet's heartbeat. This isn't a metaphor. It is a measurable physical phenomenon, a standing wave that pulses at a fundamental frequency of around 7.83 Hz, with several harmonic frequencies above it. This resonant frequency is so fundamental that human brainwaves, when in a deep, meditative state, can naturally synchronize with it. Some theorists propose that the ancient builders were not just aware of this planetary pulse, they engineered their structures to harmonize with it. By tuning a massive stone monument, like a pyramid or a temple, to vibrate in sympathy with the Schumann resonances, they could have effectively plugged it into the planet's own energetic field, turning the structure into a resonant antenna for a power source that envelops the entire globe. But how did they convert that resonance into something usable? This is where the very stones themselves come into play. Look at the materials they chose with such deliberate care. Granite used in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid and the blue stones of Stonehenge are rich in quartz crystals. Quartz possesses a remarkable property known as the piezoelectric effect. When you apply pressure or mechanical stress to a quartz crystal, it generates a small electrical charge. It works in reverse too. Apply an electric current and the quartz will vibrate. Now consider the setting. The Earth is not a silent, static ball. It is constantly vibrating with subtle seismic energy, a low-level hum of microtremors and tidal forces stretching and compressing the crust. A massive stone structure sitting directly on this vibrating bedrock would be in a state of perpetual, subtle stress. If that structure is built from piezoelectric stones like granite, every one of those subtle vibrations would be converted into a tiny electrical charge. Multiply that effect across thousands of tons of quartz-rich stone, and you no longer have a simple monument. You have a power plant. The structure becomes a transducer, continuously converting the mechanical pulse of the planet into a measurable electrical field. This provides a speculative yet scientifically grounded basis for the entire theory. These sites were not randomly placed. They were positioned at powerful energetic nodes, built from specific charge-generating materials and potentially tuned to the Earth's own resonant frequency. They were not just temples to the gods, they were sophisticated machines designed to harvest energy from a living world. If our ancestors truly understood these principles, the silent stones they left behind are not mere ruins. They are the dormant components of a technology we are only just relearning to see. Of course, such a grand and unified vision of the ancient world naturally faces powerful and rigorous opposition. The mainstream scientific community largely views the global energy grid as a captivating fantasy, a classic case of a phenomenon known as apophenia. This is the innate human tendency to find meaningful patterns or connections within random or meaningless data. Skeptics argue that with thousands upon thousands of ancient monuments scattered across the globe, it is statistically inevitable that some will appear to form straight lines or geometric shapes purely by accident. Think of it like connecting stars to form constellations. The patterns we see are not physically real. They are stories we project onto the random scatter of distant suns. Critics contend that grid theorists are doing the very same thing with our planet's ancient sites, drawing lines on a map and calling it a circuit board while ignoring the countless other sites that completely break their proposed pattern. This selective use of data is a cornerstone of the criticism. If you only plot the sites that fit your theory and disregard all the others, you can create the illusion of a perfect design from what is actually a chaotic and unplanned historical landscape. Furthermore, archaeologists point to a profound and unsettling silence in the physical record. There are no ancient blueprints, no engineering schematics, no written instructions or tool kits that explicitly describe the purpose, construction, or maintenance of a planetary energy system. For a civilization supposedly capable of such a staggering coordinated effort, they left behind no direct evidence of their greatest achievement beyond the monuments themselves. This forces a difficult question upon us. Are we witnessing the scattered remnants of a lost global science, or are we, in our desire for a more mystical and interconnected past, simply telling ourselves a beautiful story written in stone? This challenge is not meant to shut down inquiry, but to refine it. It pushes us to look for stronger evidence, to demand more rigorous connections, and to honestly ask ourselves where the line lies between a profound hidden truth and an equally profound human need to see order in the chaos of history. The sharpest challenge to this theory has always been its reliance on patterns on a map, but that is no longer the only evidence we can consult. A new chapter in this ancient mystery is being written not with shovels but with satellites. Advanced Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, allow researchers to plot every known ancient site on a digital globe with pinpoint accuracy. They can then run algorithms to test for alignments and geometric shapes on a scale never before possible. This moves the investigation from the realm of artistic interpretation into one of mathematical probability. The results are often startling, revealing geometric relationships between sites separated by thousands of miles of ocean, relationships that would be impossible for the human eye to discern on a flat paper map. These are not just lines, they are great circles and perfect triangles etched across the planet's surface. The satellite view gives us the God's eye perspective our ancestors seemingly possessed, and from that height, the patterns are harder to dismiss as mere coincidence. Yet the view from space is only one piece of the puzzle. The true confirmation may lie in reading the invisible energy of the sites themselves. Ground-penetrating radar and electrical resistivity tomography are now being deployed at locations like Stonehenge and the pyramids. These tools act like X-rays for the Earth, revealing hidden chambers, buried water channels, and geological faults without ever breaking the ground. They show us the subterranean anatomy of these sacred places. Even more telling are geomagnetic surveys. Researchers using sensitive magnetometers have documented persistent, localized anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field at many of these sites. The stones themselves, or the ground beneath them, appear to hold a different magnetic signature than the surrounding landscape. What could cause this? It could be the presence of specific mineral deposits deliberately chosen by the builders. It could be the remnant signature of a once active energy technology. While these magnetic whispers do not yet constitute definitive proof of a global grid, they provide something equally valuable, a tangible, measurable phenomenon to investigate. We are no longer just asking if the pattern exists, we are asking what that pattern does. The conversation is shifting from speculative wonder into a rigorous search for data, one that uses the tools of 21st century science to listen for the faint, lingering echo of a forgotten world. The silent stones of this planetary network point toward a single, staggering conclusion: the existence of a master architect, the sheer scale and coordination required to build a global energy grid defies everything we understand about the ancient world. Isolated cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, could not have independently conceived of and executed such a unified planetary blueprint. This gap in our history has led many to embrace the lost civilization hypothesis, a grand narrative that places the origin of the grid with a single, advanced precursor culture. We know this lost world best by the name given to it by the Greek philosopher Plato, Atlantis. He described it as a great island kingdom with technology and knowledge far surpassing its neighbors. a civilization that vanished in a single day and night of cataclysm. The global energy grid theory gives this ancient myth a new and powerful plausibility. Imagine a unified society with a complete understanding of spherical geography. This culture would have possessed the seafaring skill to map the entire globe and the geodetic science to plot the precise energetic nodes of the planet. They would have understood the physics of resonance, the piezoelectric properties of stone, and the flow of telluric currents. In this scenario, sites like the Great Pyramid or the platform at Baalbek were not first attempts by fledgling cultures. They were constructed as part of a single planet-spanning project, a coordinated effort to wire the Earth for a purpose we can barely comprehend. This civilization acted as the planet's original electricians, installing the primary infrastructure for a global power system. Then, according to the theory, disaster struck. The cataclysm that sank Atlantis, perhaps linked to the rapid sea level rise at the end of the last ice age around 12,000 years ago, shattered this advanced world. The Central Authority and its deep knowledge were lost beneath the waves, but fragments of this science survived. Scattered groups of survivors, the inheritors of a broken legacy, carried fractured pieces of the blueprint to the far corners of the Earth. They became the ancestors of the Egyptians, the Maya, the megalithic builders of Europe, and the cultures of the Indus Valley. These successor peoples found the ruins of the original grid nodes and built their own temples and monuments upon those sacred, powerful foundations. They operated the system without fully understanding its original purpose, like tribal people using the control panel of a fallen starship for their own rituals. This elegantly explains the otherwise baffling similarities in astronomy, mathematics, and sacred geometry found in cultures that supposedly never made contact. They were not inventing these concepts independently. They were all drawing from the same drowned source. The Great Pyramid, Stonehenge, and the Nazca lines are not the products of separate human genius, but the scattered chapters of a single, lost instruction manual for the planet. But what if the grid was never meant to power machines at all? The technological interpretation is compelling, yet it may only be one layer of a far deeper mystery. A profound spiritual perspective suggests that this planetary network was designed not for electricity but for enlightenment. In this view, the energy coursing along the ley lines is a conscious life force, a subtle intelligence that the Earth itself possesses. The sacred sites are not power stations but portals, places where the veil separating our world from other dimensions of existence grows thin. The precise alignment of these structures was not about optimizing energy transfer, but about creating a stable, resonant field that could support a shift in human awareness. Imagine standing within the stone circle not as an engineer but as a participant. The amplified energy of the location does not just vibrate through the stones, it vibrates through you. It acts as a catalyst, quieting the chatter of the everyday mind and allowing a deeper, more intuitive state of consciousness to emerge. This is not a metaphor. Many who visit these places report vivid sensations, spontaneous visions, or a profound sense of connection to something vast and ancient. The oracle at Delphi, with her mind-altering vapors, and the resonant chambers of Malta, tuned to alter brainwaves, are perfect examples of this principle in action. They were technological in their precision, but their ultimate purpose was spiritual transformation. The grid, then, becomes an infrastructure for the soul. Its purpose was to assist in the evolution of human consciousness on a planetary scale, creating a web of sacred geography that nurtured our connection to the Earth and the cosmos. This shifts the entire narrative. Our ancestors were not just master engineers, they were spiritual ecologists, building a network to help humanity remember its true place within a living, conscious universe. What would it mean for our future if we learn to reactivate this system not for power, but for peace? This spiritual perspective opens the door to a radical new energetic paradigm, one that challenges our most fundamental understanding of the universe. Modern physics tells us that everything is subject to entropy, the universal slide from order into chaos and decay. Yet, what if the ancient builders were working with an opposing principle? Some researchers point to the concept of syntropy, a tendency toward life, order, and ever-increasing complexity. Think of a seed pushing through soil to become a towering tree, or a single cell dividing into the intricate symphony of a human body. These are syntropic acts, movements toward greater organization and vitality. The proposal is breathtaking that our ancestors understood how to tap into this very force. The global energy grid in this light was not a simple power plant for human technology. It was a planetary-scale therapeutic device, a system designed to harvest and distribute syntropic energies from the Earth and cosmos to actively counteract the effects of entropy. Its purpose was to bring harmony, fertility, and balance to the entire biosphere. The precise geometry of the sites, their sacred alignments, and their choice of resonant materials were all calculated to create a coherent, life-enhancing field that would wash over the planet. This reframes the grid as a kind of ecological and spiritual immune system for the Earth itself. Each pyramid, stone circle, and temple functioned like an acupuncture needle, precisely placed on the planet's meridians to stimulate the flow of a healing, ordering energy. Why would a civilization dedicate millennia to such a task? Perhaps they saw the Earth not as a resource to be exploited, but as a living being to be nurtured and protected. They were building a technological prayer for the planet's health, a network of stone tuning forks designed to keep the world in a state of vibrant, syntropic balance. If they succeeded, what did our world look like when this system was fully active? That profound vision of a healing Earth transforms the grid from a historical puzzle into a living reality you can explore yourself. While the grand theory spans continents, its proof might be felt in the palm of your hand. Many modern investigators use the ancient art of dowsing to trace these invisible currents. This simple practice typically involves holding a pair of L-shaped metal rods or a pendulum and walking slowly across a landscape. The idea is that the body subconsciously detects subtle energy shifts, causing the rods to cross or the pendulum to swing in a specific pattern when crossing a ley line or entering a vortex. You do not need any special gifts to try this, only a willingness to be still and observe. Start in your own backyard, noticing if the rods react near an old tree or a water source. Then visit a local ancient monument, an old church built on a pagan site, or even a cemetery with historical significance. Walk its perimeter, hold your tools with a light, relaxed grip, and see what happens. The results can be surprisingly direct, drawing a personal map of forces you were taught to ignore. Beyond dowsing, you can simply sit in silence at a known power spot. Close your eyes, quiet your mind, and pay close attention to the sensations in your body. Do you feel a slight tingling in your hands or feet? A sudden, inexplicable warmth or coolness in a specific part of the air around you? Does the peace of the place suddenly give way to a surge of emotion, a sense of profound sadness or exhilarating joy for no logical reason? These are the very sensations countless visitors report from places like Sedona or Stonehenge. They are the human antenna picking up a signal that science is still learning to measure. This personal, experiential approach does not offer scientific proof, but it provides something perhaps more valuable, a direct, felt connection to the mystery. It bridges the vast gap between an abstract theory about the past and the tangible, humming energy of the present moment, suggesting that the grid is not dead, only dormant, waiting for us to remember how to listen. Our journey across the continents has revealed a tapestry of wonder, one that challenges the very foundations of our history. We have walked from the silent deserts of Egypt to the green fields of England, from the star-aligned temples of Cambodia to the resonant chambers of Malta. Each site, a masterpiece in its own right, appears to be part of a coherent planet-spanning system. The global energy grid theory, for all its controversy, weaves these disparate threads into a single, breathtaking narrative. It connects the pyramid to the stone circle, the oracle to the cathedral, suggesting a unified vision of a living, breathing Earth. Was this network a technological marvel designed to harvest raw power? Was it a spiritual matrix built to elevate human consciousness? Or was it perhaps a profound combination of both, a science of the soul that we have since forgotten? The true genius of our ancestors may lie in their understanding that these concepts were never separate. Their legacy forces us to acknowledge a depth of wisdom and capability that conventional history struggles to contain. The greatest mystery is no longer the existence of the grid itself, but the forgotten knowledge that allowed for its creation. What kind of mind could perceive the energetic skeleton of the entire planet and then build a stone machine upon it? As we continue to investigate with open minds, using satellites to see the patterns and magnetometers to feel the whispers, we may yet rediscover the secrets of this ancient world. Their silent stone message reminds us that our past is far deeper, far more mysterious, and infinitely more intelligent than we have ever been led to believe.